Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to catch up on some of these news headlines. I was out of town and then I caught a cold, so I've been away for a little while. So we have a little bit of catching up to do. The king appointed his most beloved daughter-in-law, Princess Catherine, as the royal companion of the Order of the Companions of Honor. It was a history-making moment as she is the first royal companion named to this order, so it was a very special honor for her. The Order of the Companions of Honor was founded by King George V in 1917 to recognize outstanding achievements in the arts, sciences, medicine, and public service. Members are limited to 65 at a time, although people from outside the Commonwealth countries can be counted as additional honorary members. They currently include people like David Attenborough, Elton John, Anna Wintour, Judi Dench, and Maggie Smith. A royal biographer commented on this, saying that he has always had a very good bond with her. I don't think it is presumptuous to say that she is like the daughter he never had. He shares with William an impulse to protect her, and they are in this together, Kate and the king. King Charles was so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. Obviously, Catherine's public service that has been so huge in her life, but also she's just been so wonderful at her job, so to speak. All of her public duties and public engagements, she just carries out in such a genuinely fabulous manner. But also, I'm sure that some of the recent events had some influence on his decision to do this. Her speaking out about her health situation, as well as the whole hullabaloo surrounding her picture from Mother's Day, I think probably contributed to his choice here to do something so nice and thoughtful for her. It's just something positive for her and shows how much he loves, respects, and cares about her. So it's just a beautiful thing, lovely good news. Also, we had Prince Louis's 6th birthday, and I was very glad to see that they did put out a picture of him on his birthday, but I was not surprised at all that they didn't do it in the usual manner. In part, I'm sure that just had to do with the fact that they are in a different state at the moment when it comes to work stuff. Prince William is taking on a lot of tasks still, a lot of official duties and working a lot still, but also is trying to be present for his family as much as possible, while Catherine is completely away from work at this point. So it would be expected and totally not abnormal for them to release their picture in a different way than previously. I also wouldn't be surprised if they perhaps had this picture of Prince Louis just go through a couple of extra checks, or just made sure that they checked every single box before releasing it. Especially it being Prince Louis on his own in this picture for his birthday. As a mother, you would understand it would be incredibly heartbreaking if there were any sort of questions raised or dust kicked up over this picture at all. It would just be so unacceptable and really bring out a lot more of an upset from William and Catherine if anybody said anything about this picture at all, whether it was true or not. I think the rumors that Prince William was pushing back against the media by just posting this to social media and sort of bypassing the usual channel of issuing it to media under an embargo the day before, I don't really think that he's all that concerned with it. I don't think he would go to any sort of great lengths to change the way he's releasing photos to try to get back at anybody. You know, we're not talking about Prince Harry here. We're talking about Prince William, who seems to be practical in his approach with media. So although I'm sure he was quite upset with how his wife was treated over the Mother's Day picture, at the same time, I don't think that they care enough to make any sort of major changes going forward. But let's take a look at some of the other headlines that I missed out on. This one, just from the other day, is reminding us all of this horrible thing that Prince Harry did and said. Prince Harry worried about William's children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Of those three, at least one will end up like me. This made people so mad, and myself included. It was such an insensitive comment to make, especially about someone's children, about those children themselves. One day they'll read that and think, gee whiz, why is Uncle Harry such a dick? Prince Harry, in this article, they're reflecting on how Prince Harry is still so focused on the fact that growing up the spare was such a negative for him. He references that he got the smaller bedroom and less sausage at breakfast. These sorts of articles are exactly what is hindering Harry and Meghan's growth. Reminding people of the nonsense that Harry and Meghan have been up to for all these years is what prevents Harry and Meghan from truly moving on, and rightly so. Harry writing an entire book about how horrible it was to be the spare, showing exactly how far removed from reality he is getting worse and worse over time. The sort of like temperature of the public right now is very, very much intolerant of these sort of wealthy, privileged people not understanding just how wealthy and privileged they really are. People who have for years now been dealing with increased inflation, huge high interest rates, people unable to afford buying homes or afford their basic living expenses, not being able to get living wages, like all of these things that everyday people deal with have grown to a point, in combination with social media just constantly being aware of what these celebrities or wealthy people are doing and saying, has created the perfect storm against Harry and Meghan, essentially, and others who make the same mistakes as them. That if you are privileged enough to not have to worry about finances, if you're privileged enough to be in a position where you have kind of a cush job or a cush situation, then you really can't be out there complaining and whining, at least not anymore. It used to be that people found it relatable and thought it was a good example when people would discuss, for example, mental health issues or challenges that they were going through when they had that big platform, like celebrities. But when it's removed from health issues, literally every other struggle, when a wealthy person or a notable person or a privileged person like Harry and Meghan complain from their privileged place, it's just strongly rejected. And so this is exactly why Harry and Meghan are just never going to be able to really have the success and growth that they want. They shot themselves in the foot. They created this storm cloud of complaints that just show and remind the public of how whiny Harry and Meghan are. It's not a good look. And it's particularly tasteless to mention Prince William and Catherine's children like he did here. Having anything to do with that and saying anything like that and thinking it's okay just shows the hypocrisy of Harry, that he thinks it's okay to talk about their kids in the same breath of talking about how hard it was for him to have articles written about him when he was a kid. I mean, it's just insane. You can't make it up. Are Meghan and Buckingham Palace in a royal jam war, or is this all a giant smear campaign? Meghan and the palace have found themselves in a sticky situation. Many wonder if these two sides are engaged in a cold war over marmalades. The Buckingham Palace shop released an Instagram video on Wednesday promoting its royal strawberry preserve. It's made using only the finest berries and is delicious, served in a variety of ways, the palace said in its video caption. The palace's post was deemed by some as a smear campaign against Meghan and her impending brand, which launched on social media last month. Many commentators said the palace was shading Meghan. There was also some debate about which jam is better. Well, there's really no competition here. They have been making jam and selling jam for much, much, much longer than Meghan. And Highgrove's line of jams and other goods has all the proceeds go straight to charity, I believe. So it's just a completely different cup of tea here. We have apples and we have oranges, and one is spoiled and one is not. I do think it's kind of funny, though, that they went ahead and made a post, because if the Meg is going to constantly ride coattails, I think that Buckingham Palace social media accounts have every right to remind people where the original ideas actually came from. Prince Harry has been in the news. There's so many headlines about how he's super concerned with his trip back to the UK for the Invictus event, where he was scheduled to speak at St. George's Chapel. It's an anniversary event, so to speak, so he has been denied his security request. He has lost that court battle and is super busy, not understanding how out of touch he is with all of these lawsuits, and he'll just end up continuing to lose and get angry that he lost it's whatever. But the fact that he's continuing to put out other celebrity at this point, except for those that he himself has, which, as we've discussed, there is no appetite for that. Recently, Prince Harry appeared to forego wearing the medal marking his father's coronation as he handed out an award to a top-performing American soldier. The Duke of Sussex wore an assortment of medals on his jacket as he named Combat Medic Sergeant First Class Elizabeth Marks the Military Times Soldier of the Year. Notably absent from his lapel, however, was the coronation medal given to him and others who were involved in King Charles's formal ascension to the throne last May, which was also absent from a video filmed late last year. Royal experts believe the absence of the honor could be a snub to his father. The medals also match those Harry chose to wear as he attended the coronation. Harry was not allowed to attend last May's festivities in military dress after stepping back from royal duties. That privilege is reserved for working members of the royal family. He is thought to have been one of the 400,000 recipients of the Coronation Medal, which was coined for those who actively contributed to the coronation ceremonies in Westminster Abbey and other processions. I'm not so sure. I mean, I would be surprised if he didn't get one of those medals because he's the king's son. But at the same time, he didn't actively contribute, did he? He just showed up and left immediately before any of the other events took place. I think, was it less than 24 hours that he was in the UK for the coronation ceremony? At the same time, if he had been given it, I could see him rejecting it simply because it features both King Charles and Queen Camilla's profiles. So I could see him not wanting to wear it just because of Queen Camilla being on it, because he obviously has a big vendetta against her and he is petty like that. What do you guys think? Do you think he was given it and is choosing not to wear it for whatever reason? Or do you think he never was given one in the first place because he didn't play any sort of an active role? Perhaps Harry left before there was even a chance to give it to him. Although I will say, I have an even bigger question about this appearance. Why is Harry handing out a prize from the back door of his Montecito mansion anyway? Why is Harry giving out a medal or a prize at all? She's a U.S. Army veteran here. Harry sort of just sent the video in. He didn't attend the event itself. This is for U.S. military, I believe. And so I'm very confused why Harry is involved at all. I understand that he did serve in the UK. But now he's sort of disowned the UK and lives in the United States. What does he have to do with these United States groups? Can't they find somebody more meaningful and more respectful who will actually show up to the event than Harry? It just doesn't make sense. He didn't serve in the US Army. He's not part of the US military. What is happening? That is sort of, I guess, in a way, the sort of self-inflicted tragedy he has going on now, that one of the parts of his life of service that he was so passionate about was veterans, and his service with the UK military was a big part of his identity. And when he left, it's rumored that he was particularly upset with not being able to wear his military uniforms when he attends events and things of that nature, not being able to be part of those patronages that were specifically part of the military service. And now in the United States, he's still not finding that community as welcoming or as integrated with him because he's never been part of the US military. So he's still sort of without a home, so to speak, for this passion that he claims to have. We have a video up already about Meghan Markle's supposed alleged show for Netflix. And on Friday, we went over her outfit for the polo match. The other show that the Sussexes are doing for Netflix is supposed to be Prince Harry leading a show about polo. And this has raised lots and lots of bad headlines because polo is so elitist. And right now, as we've been discussing, the vibe is intolerance towards these elitist types, these really wealthy folks. But for me, my biggest red flag here is that Harry has not got a good track record when it comes to horses in general. He's had a pony he was riding had to be put down after he had been riding it in a polo match. Prince Harry has been very, very aggressive with horses. He has punched a horse in the face. He has made a horse bleed with his spurs during a polo match. Just horrible things, horrible, horrible things. So I do not know where like the animal rights activist groups are, because they're usually pretty ready to go. But they're probably gonna, once they figure this out, get pretty mad that Prince Harry is trying to insert himself into a sport, an equestrian sport, a sport that involves animals at all, because he has a bad track record of being not that nice to animals. And that is just completely unacceptable in my book and most people's book. It's just bad human being territory right there. If you cross those lines, then you don't get to make Netflix shows involving them at all. So I don't understand that, and I really have no appetite to see Prince Harry talk about polo or riding horses or around horses at all, because he's not nice to them. But the show itself, I don't see doing very well. People don't have much of an appetite to see Prince Harry doing something like polo, and this elitist sport doesn't need the curtain pulled back on it. It really doesn't, because it's going to come across extremely pretentious. And no matter how hard they try to adjust the tone or focus it on the charity aspects, that they raise money for charity, the amount they raise for charity does not compare to the amount they spend taking private jets all over the world to do these polo matches and the expenses of it. Once again, more and more people are not interested in nonfiction content that's not relatable or accessible. And polo is like the least accessible thing you can think of when it comes to making some sort of documentary reality style show. Not to mention the fact that Harry just doesn't have the charisma or likability factor to really pull it off. I feel like he used to, when his image was more monitored by the palace, where they were able to hide more of the sort of pretentious, unlikable aspects of his personality. But now, just don't see this working out very well. But what do you guys think? Thank you so much for joining me for this quick little update. I hope you didn't mind this sort of random different video. I will see you next time, and I hope you have a very happy day ahead. Bye!